You're watching NJN, the New Jersey channel.
WNJN Montclair, transmitting from Montclair State.
Miguel Perez's column appears every Wednesday and Friday in The Record, North Jersey's daily intelligence report. The Record, proud supporter of NJN.
Next on Imagenes, a special tribute to a pioneer of American television, Cuban band leader Desi Arnaz. Saludos, welcome to Imagenes. I'm Miguel Perez. You loved Lucy? We don't blame you, because we also loved Ricky. For most Latinos who grew up watching American television, Desi Arnaz was a tremendous role model. He was a pioneer, not only for Latinos, but for all foreigners on American television. When they write about him, TV critics always mention his filming innovations, his creation of the sitcom before a live studio audience, his building of a television empire, but few of them talk about what he meant to his people. When Americans saw him dancing the rumba on the TV screen in the 1950s, he was not playing the role of a servant, a criminal, a drug dealer, or any of the other negative roles to which most Latinos are relegated nowadays. America loved Lucy, but we Latinos adored Desi because of the positive image he conveyed. And today, as we pay tribute to Desi, we are fortunate to have as our guest a man who knew him best, his pianist and musical director, Marco Rizo. Maestro, welcome to the program. How are you?
Oh, fine.
I am
Wonderful.
delighted to have you here.
Very nice to see you. I haven't seen you for a long time.
Maestro, tell us about your childhood. You knew Desi Arnaz since you were kids together
That's
in
right.
Cuba.
9, 10 years. That's right.
You were 9 and 10 years old.
That's right. Yes.
And how, was there an interest in music by both of you at that early in life?
Desi was a natural talent. He loved to sing. He was the typical Cuban trovador and his guitar.
He loved his guitar.
Always.
You know, he's well known in this country as the conga player.
That's
but
right.
most people don't realize that his first love was the guitar.
But I was the guitar, that's right. He loved his guitar. No matter what, the first thing that he used to take, wherever he had to go, make sure that the guitar is on the baggage.
Well, we have a tape that we want to watch about those days and about that time.
Yes.
So let's watch this videotape first of all.
Wonderful. Desi came from a wealthy and powerful Cuban family. They had homes, farms, horses. El Son de la Loma was one of the favorites of Desi at that time.
This is when you were growing up in Santiago de Cuba?
In Santiago de Cuba, that's right.
Did you yourself have an interest in music then, or was it who was whose inspiration here? Was it a mutual thing?
Well, I started a little earlier than Desi. I started at 7 years old. My father was my first teacher. He was a classical musician, and thanks to him, I started hit right out on the piano. And my family was an inspiration, my mother, and my sister, my brother, and they all inspired me, and they always backed me, because my first love always been music and the piano.
You mentioned Son de la Loma, and I think it would be appropriate for us to hear what that was like. So please play us a little bit of Son de la Loma.
Okay.
Maestro, those songs bring back wonderful memories. The song you played earlier, I remembered, as you were playing it, I remembered the lyrics.
Yes.
Mamá, yo quiero saber de dónde son los cantantes. Yo los veo tan galantes y los quiero conocer. It was just wonderful to go back to my own childhood listening to you. But Babalu, some of those other very famous songs that you were involved in.
Oh, yes.
When did this dream begin? Back in Cuba?
Back in Santiago de Cuba.
Were you dreaming with Desi that you would come to the United States and pursue a music career then?
We both dream about coming to this country. Yes.
And pursuing a music career together?
Of course, oh yes.
So this is something that goes all the way back to your own
childhood.
childhood?
All the way to when we were about 9 years old.
Okay, tell me what happened when you got here. Desi came first?
Desi first came because of the political situation in Cuba. As you know, Machado.
Right.
His father was the mayor of the town, and they have to leave in a hurry because they were burning their home in Vista Alegre.
So they fled basically for political reasons from the Machado regime?
Exactly. They burned their home, and they have to be very fast to go to Havana and just disappear out of Cuba. Of course, the first thing that Desi was is about his guitar. That was the only thing that he had time to take, his guitar, and he flew to Miami.
I understand he came with his guitar, but not a penny to his name, although his family was not bad off in Cuba, well off.
Oh, yes, very well off family, yes.
And they left everything behind?
They left everything. And
his had to start all over again?
And his father was put in jail.
In Cuba?
That's there, yes.
And then he joined up with the Xavier Cugat Orchestra.
Right. That was in Miami that he organized a Latin combo, and I helped him in a way that at the time I was living in Havana, because I was studying there. I was the pianist of the Philharmonic Orchestra there. And he asked me, Marco, you have to help me because I would like to get some new music, Cuban music. So he spent a couple of days in Havana, and I got for him new music.
New arrangements.
Arrangement, that's right, yes.
And then, when did you come and join him?
When I come, well, that was a little later because I came to this country in 1940, July 1st, 1940. Desi came to this country at 1933.
And when did you join up as a musical group again together, started playing together again?
Well, that was at the famous Copacabana Club, 1947. I joined him as a music director. Yes.
Is that when the conga was created?
That's right. As a matter of fact, Desi was who introduced the conga line first in Miami, later in the world of Victoria.
How did that happen? I mean, how did he get people to form a line and dance around the room like they all do all over the world nowadays?
It does a history, Miguel, that has a history. That was in Miami. One of the slow nights, in a nightclub, not too many people, and they were getting bored. And Desi says, my guys, so he had the idea he said, how about to form a conga line? The conga was very popular in this country. And then he started leading the conga line, playing with the tumbadora. And that was the beginning of the conga line.
So he actually led the line and people followed after him?
That's right.
Maestro, it was during those days of the conga lines playing at the Copacabana in New York that Desi got the idea of creating the I Love Lucy show. And before we go on, we want to watch a clip of one of the original shows, one of the very first ones that was done. Let's watch this.
Oye, quiero ensayar la parte última del drum. Sí. You need the music? No. La parte del final. All right? All right. Hey, I'll try here on this thing. Go ahead.
Maestro, I think Lucy was inside that suitcase, right?
Trunk, yes.
And that was you playing the piano, right?
I was playing the piano.
One of the things that Latinos don't realize when we watch translations, dubbed translations of the I Love Lucy show in Latin America, and it's all in Spanish, it's all dubbed in Spanish, we don't realize until we get to this country and we begin watching the I Love Lucy show in English.
That's right.
We don't realize until then that you guys on this program spoke in Spanish very often.
Desi was one of the first to speak in national television in this country Spanish.
That's right. And he made it a point of every so
yes.
often throwing in a word or two in Spanish.
He was very, very Cuban.
Yes, and
was.
in the pioneer, in the introduction of the program, I said that he was a pioneer because he was not only a pioneer for Latinos,
That's right.
but for foreigners in
Also
Hollywood.
too. And he opened many doors to Spanish artists.
And then I understand that he also refused for quite a long time to take negative roles that would portray Latinos in a negative light.
That's right. That's right. He
Which
was
is,
very much against that.
Which is something that we could use more of nowadays.
We should. That's right.
Maestro, tell me about what went on when you and him got together and decided to create this I Love Lucy show. What happened? He came to you and he said, I have this idea. How did this beautiful song, I Love Lucy, come about?
It was a night at the Copacabana, after we finished playing. He told me, he said, Marco, don't go away. I would like to talk to you privately. So I went to his dressing room. He said, please, don't ever say this to anybody. This is a secret. So he told me the setup, the idea of the I Love Lucy with the other couple, Fred and Ethel, and Lucy and him. And he told me, of course, I hope that you would like to live in California. We're going to shoot this, not here in New York, but in California. I say, yeah, we'll be very happy to do that. So then and that was the beginning of his idea. He started creating the idea, the setup, the format.
And there was no name yet, I Love Lucy.
That came later.
And when the name came, so did this song that you're going to play for us now.
The I Love Lucy theme.
And you composed this song.
Yeah, that's right.
Please play it for us.
Thank you.
Maestro, that was beautiful, but I noticed when you were playing the song, the parts of the song that were not heard in the introduction.
Exactly.
There were
right.
other parts of this song that I'm not that familiar with myself.
That was also, I add this to make it more Cuban because it
That's
has...
what I was going to say.
Yes.
Those other parts sound very Cuban to me.
Yes.
The roots of Cuban music were there.
That's right.
Now, let's talk about the innovations of Desi Arnaz. When he started the I Love Lucy show, he started using 3 cameras,
Yes.
a live studio audience.
That's right.
He started saving those tapes or those films,
That's right.
which is what eventually made him a millionaire.
And also to save it for the posterity, for the next many generations, because he did it with a regular film. No, and that's what it lasts forever.
And that's why we're still watching him on TV nowadays.
Exactly.
And forever.
Thanks to that, that's right.
Tell me about the problems that he encountered. Here is a mixed marriage, a Cuban in Hollywood,
Yes.
in a prime time television program. there were certain barriers that he had to overcome.
Yeah, oh yes, and discrimination. For instance, they want to have a studio musician from CBS because they will save a lot of money that way. And Desi told them right out, he said, look, this is my orchestra. I do have my musical director, Mr. Rizo, and they have to be here, otherwise just forget it.
So he was faithful to his people.
Yes, yes, to his roots.
And to his idea that this had to be a half Latin show.
No, that's right, exactly.
And after a while, was there acceptance? Did you start gaining acceptance, especially after the show was successful?
Exactly, that's right. We make a pilot, of course, and they took it. Many people, they have so many people that they say, this guy, referring to Desi, you know, he has a Cuban accent, very heavy accent. Sometimes I don't know what he's talking about. Well, he didn't pay attention to that. Anyway, he said, I do have an accent. I am very proud to have a Cuban accent. Anyway, so he just followed through.
Now, I Love Lucy is the name of the song, but it's something you also felt. You felt love for Lucy, and so did Desi, of course.
Very much.
How did he feel about his wife?
Desi, they loved each other until the day he died, because he died first. There was a romance. Of course, nothing is perfect. They had their problem, marital problems, and you know. But what I mean, that show, he always used to say, you know, Desi, he said, you know, the I Love Lucy show is a clean show, it's a family show, it's a show that never offend anybody.
No cursing.
No cursing.
2 separate beds in the bedroom.
That's right.
Very family-oriented program.
Very much.
But you dedicated a song to Lucy, Lucy's Cha-Cha.
Lucy Cha-Cha.
Could you play a little bit of that for us?
Sure.
You know, all of us want to be loved, and to love. There's nothing better than that. But what happens when love goes away? What do you do when that honeymoon is over? Dr. Harville Hendrix is going to show you how to get the love you want. It is fascinating. It is also work. Don't give up. Watch the series.
Wednesday nights at 9.
I don't know what I'd do, sweetheart, without you. The joy and tears that love endears.
We have been watching, Maestro, a little take of the home movies that they made.
The home movie, that's right, yes.
The family home movies that was made available to us. And you were part of that family for many years. You were an integral part of that family.
A dear family, you know, I still miss them very much. So I was with them 5 days a week, from 9 o'clock until 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
For all the years you were doing the program?
All these years, that's right.
You know, I met you and Desi when he was still alive one time at a party in New York, and he came over.
I see.
And you introduced him to me, and we had a small short conversation, but it was for me a tremendous honor to meet this man that I have been watching since I was a little kid on television. And you know, one of the things that always comes out about him is that he was a party man. He loved to drink.
Oh, yes, he loved to drink.
He loved his
No
Cuban
question
cigars.
about it. Oh, yes.
They say he died of cancer perhaps because
That's
he
right.
smoked so many
and
Cuban
his
cigars.
coffee and his black coffee.
He loved this black Cuban coffee.
Yeah.
And he was a little bit of a womanizer.
Oh, yeah. Yes, he was. Yes.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the problems that created for him. Fame and fortune, of course.
Yes.
But, of course, the marital problems. You mentioned it briefly before.
Yes.
But you know, was this the downfall of Desi Arnaz?
You know, when he was in the army in 1942, I believe, he was a sergeant in the Navy. He was in the army, in the Navy. And he was stationed in California. And from there, started trouble, you know, because later on, we used to be, you know, to talk about things in life, and he used to tell me, you know, he loved girls, and girls loved him. He was a playboy, no question about it. And the problem starts right there. I mean, you know, that caused him a divorce later on, in 1960, they divorced.
And when that happened, they kept working together, though, for a while, no?
They did. And he was an example of a father, Miguel, you know. He loved his children, you know. He never gave up, you know. Even when he was divorced, he was a dedicated father.
How did that famous bus accident affect his life?
Oh, the bus accident, yeah, that was a very tragic bus accident, and that one of the boys lost one eye. I was hurt myself here in the lip, and we were hospitalized for about, I would say, about half a week, about 3 or 4 days in the hospital. That was in Madison, Wisconsin, going to Milwaukee.
Maestro, you're in the process, or you're almost finished writing a book about all of this.
That's right.
And
all our experience.
And the name of the book will be?
The Desi I Knew.
The Desi I Knew. And it's in the, you're now in the process of getting it published.
A publisher, that's right. We are that.
God, I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you.
It sounds like something a lot of people would want to read.
Many things that have been saying about Desi.
Yeah, because there's been a couple of movies made.
You know, Desi was my friend all my lifetime until he passed away.
And you were perhaps, especially among his Cuban friends, his closest friend of all time.
That's right, all the time. All the time.
Well, we're running out of time, but because he saved his tapes and all those programs of I Love Lucy, we can take comfort in knowing that although Desi may be gone, Ricky Ricardo will live forever.
Forever.
Dancing his rumbas, speaking in his strong Spanish accent,
yes,
demonstrating his pride in being Cuban.
That's right.
Over the years, Maestro, when my own Cuban roots come out of me, when I start speaking in English with a strong Spanish accent or breaking into rapid Spanish conversation, waving
yes,
my arms to illustrate my words,
yes,
one of my colleagues will usually say, oh, there he goes again with his Ricky Ricardo routine. But let me tell you, and let me tell our audience, they may not always mean it in a positive way,
that's right,
but I always take it as a compliment.
That's true.
I'm Miguel Perez, and I'll see you next week on another edition of Imagenes. Hasta pronto. I love Lucy.
Wonderful.
Please.
I love Lucy.
Miguel Perez's column appears every Wednesday and Friday in The Record, North Jersey's daily intelligence report. The Record, proud supporter of NJN.